Ayin Hara, evil eye, does it exist? And if it does, why does it come on a person? And how to be saved from it? And what happens when such a thing comes upon a person? Let's go on a journey today and try to see what the Torah and how the Torah looks at evil eye, Ayin Hara. First of all, in our Parashat, we're talking about Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu, Chazal say, had a special Ayin Tova, so much that in Pirkei Avot it says that a person that has three things is considered the student of Avraham Avinu. כל מי שיש בו שלושה דברים אלו, עין טובה, רוח נמוכה, נפש שפלה, מתלמידיו של אברהם אבינו. You see that Avraham Avinu had Ayin Tova, the opposite of Ayin Hara. What does it mean Ayin Hara and what does it mean Ayin Tova? Ayin Tova means when you want to do good for the other. When you want that the other person should have. You want to make sure that the other person is happy. That's called Ayin Tova. Therefore Chazal says that the person that has Ayin Tova, he's the one that gets the bracha when he makes Birkat Hamazon on the glass of wine. Why? Because the person that has Ayin Tova, hu yevurach, hu yevarech, say Chazal. Unlike a person that has Ayin Ra'ah, that causes Ayin Hara. Ayin Hara is brought down in many, many places in the Torah. You take a look in Parashat, in Parashat Miketz, when Yaakov Avinu sends his children to Mitzrayim, he tells them each one should go on a different gate. Don't come into Mitzrayim in the same gate. Why is that? Says Rashi, לפי שציווה להם אביהם שלא יתראו כולם בפתח אחד, אלא שיכנס כל אחד בפתח אחר. Why each one should go in a different gate to Mitzrayim? שלא תשלוט בהם עין הרע. עין הרע should not be תופס on them, not be שולט on them. שכולם נעים וכולם גיבורים. Since they were all beautiful children, and also they were physically built, גיבורים, so therefore, in order the Ayin Hara should not go on them, Yaakov Avinu told them each one should go on a different pathway. We see, by the way, from here, besides the source that there is Ayin Hara, besides that, we see that even a goy, because we're talking about Mitzrayim, even a goy could give Ayin Hara. Not only that, you could give a goy Ayin Hara. How is that? We see by our parasha, Sarah Imenu gave Ayin Hara to Hagar. Hagar was a Hagar Mitzrit, and she just became pregnant, and the first child, she had a miscarriage. Says Rashi, why? Because Sarah put on her Ayin Hara, and therefore we see that it works in both ways. It works that a goy could give us Ayin Hara, and we can give a goy also Ayin Hara. Just by giving him Ayin Hara, that's effective. There's many sources to this Ayin Hara. For instance, it says that by Shaul, Vayilavesh Shaul et David Madav. Shaul put his clothing on David HaMelech. David wasn't a king yet, Shaul was a king. But when he got him, he put the clothing of Shaul on David. Ne'efchu liot kemidat David. That's what it says by the Navi. The Rashi explains that the clothing of Shaul became exactly like David's size, although there were different sizes. וכיוון שראה שאול כן, since Shaul saw that it was the same size, הכניס בו עין הרע והרגיש דוד בדבר. He put on David עין הרע. David felt it. When a person gets עין הרע, he feels it. How does he feel it? Some feel it in reality when it's put. Some feel it afterwards with the outcome, that all of a sudden things don't work out. So therefore, we see another source for that thing. The Torah is full of places that it's talking about Lashon Hara. For instance, in Chazal they say that in Avot Beit Yud Aleph, Ayin Hara veYetzer Hara veSin'at haBeriot motziim et ha'adam min ha'olam. We see again that the Mishnah openly speaks about Ayin Hara. For instance, Chazal say that En habracha metzuya ela bedavar hasamui min ha'ayin. A person that wants to have a beracha in his finance, in his work, in his money, even when he counts the money, Chazal say, don't count to the exact amount, because then it's davar hamanui, it's davar that the ayin is sholet, and therefore it's better to keep it hidden. And bracha metzuya ela bedavar hasamui min ha'ayin. Chazal say in Bar Matzia Kuf Zayin that Rav went to a cemetery and he did some kind of lachash. He said few things, and he came out understanding something unbelievable. Rashi explains over there that this lachash that he did is on the cemetery, and he came out with understanding that, and he said that those people that are buried, 99% of them died for Ayin Hara. One died because of different reasons, but 99% because of Ayin Hara. We see how effective Ayin Hara is. Chazal say that Luchot HaRishonot, the first Luchot that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to Moshe Rabbeinu, that he broke them. Why they were nishbar? Why did they end up broken? Because Ayin Hara was sholet b'hem. Shalta b'hem Ayin Hara. Why? Because it was davar shebeminyan. Kadosh Baruch Hu told on each one what size it should be, exactly with the size and amounts and everything. Davar shebeminyan, Ayin sholetet bo. And therefore, that's the reason that they got broken. So, there's many more sources for this Ayin Hara. We need to know, how does it work exactly? What happens when a person gives Ayin Hara or receives Ayin Hara? How does it work exactly? So then, on that, you have a beautiful Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish explains the following. First, he brings a Gemara, again, with the same idea of Ayin Hara, that Yavu Rabbanan Einayu V'nach Nafshe. When Chachamim gave their eye, they put their eye, right away, Chachamim with that eye could destroy somebody, could kill him. We found many times in the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan looked at somebody, boom, he got him. So does Chachamim. They look at somebody, it's called a kpeda, but it works in the same idea. That a person that looks at somebody in a bad way, boom, he could get him, and he could get hurt. So the Chazon Ish explains, מסודות הבריאה כי האדם במחשבתו הוא מניע גורמים נסתרים בעולם המעשה. A person has such power, says the Chazon Ish. In his thought, in his mind could actually do things on the physical world. It has an effect on the physical world. כי האדם במחשבתו, with his mind, with his thought, with putting his head into it and concentration, הוא מניע גורמים נסתרים בעולם המעשה. He could change physical things in the mundane world. ומחשבתו הקלה תוכל לשמש גורם להרס ולחורבם של גשמים מוצקים. A simple thought could easily, says the Chazon Ish, destroy very big things. כדאמר בפסחים, כיוון דנפש אבחזיו, שלטה בעינה. בשעה שבני אדם מתפעלים על מציאות מוצלחת. Why Ayin Hara works here and doesn't work there? The Chazon Ish explained it works because sometimes a person has itpahalut. He gets excited over seeing something that's very successful. So therefore, he works, he puts that thing at danger. When somebody is very successful, or something is very successful, when people look at it, they put it on the danger. And that thing could be collapsed, could be destroyed. Mikol makom, says the Chazon Ish, don't worry about it. Akol bidei shamayim, kol shelo nigzar ale bidei shamayim le'ovdan, hadavar nitzal. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the protection, nothing's going to happen. But not everything in HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the protection. Why? Shenigzar hadavar le'abed, sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes away his protection. And now that he takes away his protection, the whole thing is in danger. People look at it, just by looking, they could hurt it. That's what he says. Shenigzar hadavar le'abed, mitgalgel hadavar lifamim, al yedei simat ein timahon al hadavar, ve'al yedei zeu kala. Sometimes, a person just takes away, HaKadosh Baruch Hu just takes away the protection. Someone could look at that thing and say, wow, look at this, so successful, so well, doing so well. With that itself is Ayin Hara, and he could destroy that thing. And this is also how it's brought down in the Pele Yoetz. The Pele Yoetz says that's the same thing, and this is how the older Mefarshim learn, that the success itself is a cause for Ayin Hara. How does a person receive Ayin Hara? By the fact that he caused people to be jealous at him. When someone gets jealous at you, or he looks at you with palut, he looks at you at such a wonder. Look at how successful this person is. Or look how beautiful his car is, a beautiful house, or beautiful children. That thing itself, the jealousy and the eye that he puts on it, could destroy the thing. Nevertheless, he says, the Pele Yoetz, although that is true, but one should not be afraid of doing mitzvot. Al kol panim lo imana me'asot mitzvah mipnei chashash ayin hara. Sometimes a person would think, why should I bring people to my house? They're going to see the beautiful house that I have, the beautiful children, they put me Ayin Hara. He says, no, don't think that way. Don't fear bringing a poor person to your house, or to give Shiurei Torah barabim. Some people are very successful giving Shiurei Torah, and that also causes Ayin Hara. He says, no, don't worry about it. Or lidrosh barabim lelamed da'at et ha'am. Why? Ki shomer mitzvah lo yada davar ra. If a person makes a mitzvah, mitzvah is protection. Mitzvah guni magna, and therefore you don't have to worry. Once you're doing a mitzvah, you bring a poor person to your house, you bring somebody on the Shabbat table, that itself is a protection from the Ayin Hara. And therefore, we understand over here that first of all, there is such a thing, Ayin Hara. Secondly, how does it come? It comes from jealousy. When a person causes other people to be jealous, and they have the ability to put that jealousy causes such a feeling that feeling and mind could affect the physical world, could affect the other person. Comes out like this. That we have also the power that once we put Ayin Hara on something, that itself is so powerful that if it doesn't work on that person, it comes back to the person. This is how the Maharal Miprag explains, which means like this. Sometimes he says that you could try to hurt the other person, but he doesn't get hurt. You put him Ayin Hara, you look at him in a bad way, but nothing happens to him. Why is that? He says because he also has desires. He also has what he wants. And sometimes what he wants is stronger than what you want to do to him. And therefore that protects him. Just like in the physical world, you come to hit somebody. You make the act of hitting somebody. If he himself has the ability and he wants to protect himself, he defends himself, physically could defend himself. So does in the spiritual world, in the world of Ayin Hara. Person that really looks in a bad way on the other person, but the other person has such a fear towards that thing, and therefore he wants to protect himself, or he has a desire, not a physical desire, a spiritual desire to be protected. Such a thing is a shield from the thing that might come up to him. But then comes up and he says a beautiful chidush, the Maharal Miprag, that this desire that a person had to hurt the other person, he wants the other person to be hurt. He wants the other person to have a failure. That feeling itself has that machshava, that thought has an effect, we said. And now the effect came out from his eyes, from his brain, from his mind, and he's now standing still in the air, and it has to land on somebody. If it doesn't land on the person that he wanted it to land, it could come back to him himself. A beautiful thing. He says, it's just like a ball. You take the ball and you throw it at the other person. If he gets hurt, it stops there. But let's say the other person puts a shield, and now the ball hits the shield, comes right back to the person that threw away the ball, and it hits him. Same thing he says with Edim Zomemim. Edim Zomemim are two witnesses that wanted to give a false testimony about somebody. They said that person was a Mechalel Shabbat, he deserves to die because he was Mechalel Shabbat. They go to Beit Din, they tell their Beit Din, you see this person over there? We saw him in a certain day, on a certain time, being Mechalel Shabbat. And therefore, Beit Din assigns him to death. But before that happens, if they found to be liars, people come to, two other witnesses come and say, how could that be? You were with us somewhere else. How could you witness about that person? So then Beit Din, according to the Torah, would do the same thing they wanted to do to that person, they would do to them. If they wanted to cause him the death penalty, Beit Din would kill them. That is Edim Zomemim. But the chidush by Edim Zomemim is that if Beit Din actually went through the process of killing the person that they witnessed against, although it was a false testimony. But Beit Din went along with it because they didn't know. There were two witnesses, everything looked correct, and they killed that person. If now they killed that person, and afterwards they were found to be liars, with the new Edim coming and saying, that's not true, you weren't there, and you were with us somewhere else, now Beit Din are not going to do anything to those witnesses. And all the Mefarshim ask, why? Why is that? Why is it that before Beit Din actually acted on the other person to punish him, then you could bring back the punishment to them, But if Beit Din acted already, you don't bring the punishment on them. Says the Maharal Miparak, that's the idea. That's the idea of a thought. They had a thought to do bad. If the thought went along, it landed on that person, he got punished, the thought was already dissolved. Although they're going to be punished in Shamayim, but Beit Din are not allowed now to punish them. They can't take and practice their punishment on them. But if their thought is standing still and wasn't able actually to land on that person they're witnessing against, and now, because now two witnesses came and said that they were lying, so that desire to hurt somebody, that evil thought to hurt somebody, that thing itself has to come back and land somewhere. And that wicked thought comes back to them. That is the concept of Edim Zomemim. Same way that by Ayin Hara, when a person gives Ayin Hara to somebody, comes back to him. By the way, cursing also works the same way. Cursing, it says in Chazal, that it's just like a bird. If it doesn't, it goes. If the other person doesn't deserve it, it goes back to the person that cursed. So it's a very important when a person, always a person should feel that the other person would be not cursing him. And if he is, it would be what it's called kilalat chinam. Kilalat chinam lo tavo. If a person doesn't deserve of that kilala, so even if he was cursed, it's not going to come on his head. We have to be very careful not to deserve of it. And sometimes that itself is going to go back to the person that cursed him. So it comes out that this is the way it works. It works because the desire of a person actually brings it about to the outside world. And that itself has to land somewhere. So after we learn that this is the way it works, how do you actually protect yourself from that Ayin Hara? So we need to know there's various ways that the Torah says how to protect. But first of all, the Gemara says that a person that doesn't worry and is not always thinking about Ayin Hara, so he's already mostly shielded from the Ayin Hara. He's mostly protected from the Ayin Hara. If it doesn't worry, that takes away a lot from the fear itself that the Ayin Hara is going to go against him. But even if a person that even fears that little bit that's left, or those that always walk around with feeling that Ayin Hara, which is true, a person shouldn't cause the others to be jealous at him, because that is the cause of Ayin Hara. That is the reason Ayin Hara comes, because he's at fault that he causes other people to be jealous at him. A person that's successful in any way, he has to hide it. He has to make sure that it's not showing, it's not expressed to the other outside world. If you have a beautiful house, don't show it off to the whole world. You have a beautiful car. Don't show it off. On the contrary, live a simple life. Try not to show off what you have. And if you don't have to have those things, try not to buy such expensive things in order to cause other people to be jealous of you. If you don't cause other people to be jealous of you, there's no Ayin Hara to begin with. But even such a thing that happens, there are protections from it. How are the protections? So Chazal say that one could say, Ana mizara de Yosef de lo shalta be'ed Rabisha. I'm from the descendant of Yosef. Ayin Hara doesn't protect me, doesn't hurt me. I'm protected from Ayin Hara. Person does that. That's one way of actually being protected from Ayin Hara. There's other ways how people actually practice. It's brought down in the Ben Ish Chai. Ben Ish Chai says that many people do a chamsa. Chamsa, it's a shape of a hand. They do it on all kind of different things, a shape of a hand, and that they call chamsa. They say chamsa if somebody tells them that how successful they are, they say chamsa, or they do a hand shape, chamsa, and that is, Ben Ish Chai says, that could protect a person. Others have something red like that also is believed to be protecting the person. He says difference between Ashkenazim and Sfaradim. Ashkenazim say, bli Ayin Hara, and Sfaradim say, Ben Porat Yosef. However it is, these are all different ways of protecting one's person from Ayin Hara. It says in the Sfarim also that a person should say, Vayakov ishtam yoshev ohalim v'chen ani berov chasdecha avo v'techa. If a person says that, that's also a way that one could protect himself from Ayin Hara. So over here we have various ideas of how Ayin Hara works and how to be protected and who is more likely to be hurt from Ayin Hara. But the main idea that one needs to know that on the way the the Pele Yoetz conclude this, that when you look at it in the bottom line, one needs to know that the most important thing is to put your trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu and try to protect yourself by praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the main source. You go to the main source instead of making all kind of segulot. Go speak direct to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have a straight line with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Talk to him. Tell him that give me all this success, but make sure this success is protected, that I'm not going to be hurt from this. A person does all that, Bezat Hashem, he doesn't have what to worry about.